First of all, I appreciate you guys being willing to coach. Obviously, we can't have a league if we don't have coaches. And I'm going to give you a couple things of when you can complain about an official. All right, these are the situations where you could be justified in complaining. If they don't hustle, if they don't get in position to make calls, it's two-man crew. So somebody should be on the baseline when you're on one end of the floor. If that clock is the opposite end of the floor, all right, and this right here is the basket on the other end, one guy should be on the baseline watching things, and one guy should be at least a half court. Now, if that guy is back underneath the other basket, that's a fundamental problem, okay? And that's when you have a right to call me the next day, and that's when I will either have a discussion and it'll never happen again, or that official will be gone and I'll have to get a whistle problem, okay? So that's a situation you can complain. If they're rude or disrespectful in some way, all right? If they're rude or disrespectful. Now, that doesn't count for them being rude and disrespectful if you start it, all right? If they're unprofessional in some way, in their appearance or how they come across, if they're cursing or doing anything, none of these things should happen, but if they do, I'm just telling you what's grounds. If they don't make any effort to communicate with the kids, especially in the 7 and 8-year-old and even the 9 and 10, I want them, when they call a double dribble, I'm going to say, tell them what a double dribble is, all right? Hopefully most of them know, but some of them don't. That's the hard thing about rec is you got, like in the girls' side, I had some teams that had some kids that are really good AAU players, and then I had the same team, I had kids that had never touched basketball in their life. And trying to bring those worlds together is darn near impossible. Try setting up a set of rules that make sense for both groups of those people. I can promise you it's darn near impossible, okay? So I want them to communicate with the kids. Anything outside of that, you know, they miss a walk, or you thought it should have been a violation, or you thought your girl got fouled, or you thought your player didn't foul, that's not grounds to complain, all right? Those are calls that they're going to miss, and the sooner you accept it, the easier it'll be for all of us. I had a lot of complaints during girls about the officiating. I know how the commissioner of the ODAC used to feel when I'd call him every Monday after the game on Saturday and complain for half an hour, okay? But we're going to do the best we can to get the best people we can get, and I'm just trying to cut down on the complaining and trying to clean the games up as best I can. But if it's a situation where they're not very good, I'm apologizing now, because I can't work a miracle on that. Okay, Roger Ayers is not going to leave the Carolina game and come do our rec game. And if he would, that'd be great, but it's not going to happen. As far as what I want my coaches to focus on, all right, and this is really hard for me because I'm a competitive guy. Okay, I went from win games or don't, or lose your job to now trying to facilitate a positive experience for kids, and those are two totally different worlds. I want the kids to have fun. I want them to be safe. That's my two number one things. Anything you can do to promote safety, you can't protect them at all times. I get that. Injuries happen. But anything you can do to lessen the chances that somebody gets hurt and increases the chances that somebody walks away from this thinking, I like basketball, I want to keep playing. All right, those are the two main things. The next thing is fundamentals. Now, I have a video that I put together last year that has the breakdown of every skill, and it has like 5 or 6 really good basic drills that you can use. Now, I'm not trying to insult your knowledge of basketball, but I know from watching some of the practices over the years that some people don't have a great feel for what they're doing when it comes to basketball, and I appreciate them helping, but that's the person I did the video for, okay? I'm not saying who it is. I don't know who it is. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying if you don't have extensive background in basketball, and you haven't been exposed to the sport enough to know drills that you can do with young kids that will promote the development of the fundamental skills, Rick is going to email that video to everybody. Okay? I want you to take time to look at it, all right? Because it's a montage of clips of really good teachers of the game going over the fundamental skills and then giving you some drills that you can use to teach those. And that way, in practice, you don't have to do the same thing every single day. You can do things that actually will promote their development, all right? Now, if you keep them safe and you let them have fun and you focus on the fundamentals and then you're able to do all those things and your team is still able to win, that's great, all right? But the winning in rec should not be the primary focus. It should be fun, safety, develop their skills. December 28th and January 5th. If you know you can commit to being there December 28th, now it's only for an hour and a half, okay? I sent out an email with an attachment. On the 28th, The Broadway 7 and 8 year old division and the TA 7 and 8 year old division will go 9 to 10:30. All right. 10:30 to 12 will be the Spotswood and South River 7 and 8 year olds. And then at 12:30 to 2 it'll be Broadway and Spotswood 9 and 10 year olds, and then TA and South River 9 and 10 year olds 2 to 3:30. So everybody's getting an hour and a half. We're splitting the age groups in 2 groups so we have room to work with them, and then each age group is getting an hour and a half. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? If you know that you can be there the 28th, you're committed to being there and helping me do this, raise your hand. Well, that's a good fair number. All right, great. I'm not going to write it down. I'm just going to expect you, if you raise your hand, to be there. And if you didn't, I still expect you to be there. I'm just kidding. If you can be there, be there. Basically, what we're going to do on the 28th and the 5th is get the first group will come in, and it'll be the Broadway and TA 7 and 8 year olds. Okay? We're going to get them in 3 different groups. No more than, 4. No more than 20 in a group. All right? And send them to a court. We'll have 4 courts at EMU, the way we're going to divide it up. We'll do drill. We're going to run them through some stations. We're going to have a shooting station. We're going to have a passing and ball handling as one station, and we're going to have a defensive station. And we're just going to teach fundamentals. All right? I'll go over, I'm going to do passing and ball handling, and I'll figure all that out when the time comes. But I want the coaches who can be there to be a part of that, because we'll go over something, and then we'll send them to an area, and we'll work on it for a little while, and we'll do some drills to promote the development of those particular skills. All right? We're going to do that for about an hour, about 3 20-minute stations. Then we're going to take and we're going to divide them into teams. And since we only have 20 out of court, we can go 10 against 10. 5 can play 5, and then we'll sub, and 5 more will play 5, and those guys we'll play for an hour straight of those 2 teams just subbing in and out, pickup ball. We won't even keep score. We're just going to let them play. Me and my staff are going to, and with your help, we'll probably write down the couple best players on each court to get their names, because then when we divide the teams up, we want to try to get 2 or 3 of the best players on every team instead of having 8 all on one team. Oh, I'm sorry, January 5th. So it's, and make sure if you haven't gotten an email that has both these attachments, let us know. We'll make sure we get it to you. Saturday, December 28th, we'll go from 9 to 3:30 with each of the 4 groups getting an hour and a half bracket. And then on Sunday, January the 5th, we're going from 1 to 7:30. Okay? That was just, I wanted more of my fingerprints on what's going on, is what that boils down to. I just want to be able to make sure that we really focus on some fundamentals, those first 2 practices, and then go from there. And 9 and 10. 7 and 8 will come. 7 and 8 will come in a group, and then the second group of 7 and 8 will come, and then 9 and 10, and then 9 and 10. We couldn't do them all at once because I didn't want more than 20 on a court. Because I want them, when they start playing, I want them to be able to 5 in, 5 out, and keep it rolling, so they can get some up and down.
So January 5th will be the same thing, pretty much?
We'll build on.
We're going to be out of town.
It's not the end of the world. I sent so you haven't gotten anything I sent out, have you?
No.
Because I sent an email that explained the philosophy of that is, if you can be there, great. Don't cancel your Christmas visit to Grandma's house to be there. All right, that's not what I'm saying. If you can possibly be there, I really want people to make an effort to be there. If they're sitting around at home watching The Price is Right, I want those kids there. If they're with family in Pennsylvania, then no, they don't have to be there. Fair enough? It's going to be a good thing. I mean, I'm going to have a couple other coaches come in here and help me out, and we're going to do some drills and skills, and then we're going to let them play. I will move quickly through this. You really, really owe it to yourself to immerse yourself in these rules. All right? Because these are, they're very specific to try to get to a goal. That we're trying to create an atmosphere where kids have the best chance possible to develop their skills. All right? Okay, I'll go in order. Some will take more time than others. All right, some I'm not even going to read. I'm just going to say you can figure that out on your own. Okay, 1, we'll start the games. Obviously, we got to keep the games moving to get everything in. All right, all games will be played under current National Federation High School and VHSL rules unless otherwise specified. And there's quite a few otherwise specified in these rules. All right, we're going to play 2 16-minute halves with a 2-minute halftime. The first 15 minutes of each half will be played with running clock and numerous alterations to the regular rules, which will be addressed later in this package. While the final minute of each half will be played with no limitations in accordance with regular VHSL rules, the only exception being the prohibition of any form of zone defense. All right? Now, if you're a zone defense guy, this is a bad spot for you, all right? Because we don't play any zone in Rockingham County Rec. And the reason we don't is kids at this age don't need to learn how to play zone. To be honest with you, shouldn't be playing zone in AAU either, but that's a whole nother story. Kids get better by learning to play basic, fundamental, man-to-man defense. They can learn to play zone when they get to JV and high school. And if you're a great man-to-man defender, you can be a great zone defender. You can be the greatest zone defender in the history of the world, and you can still stink at guarding man-to-man. All right? The other thing is I don't want to create a situation where the best player can always be taken away. That's not fair to the best players in rec basketball. Okay? So everything's going to be straight man-to-man defense. There'll be running clock except the last minute of each half when the clock will stop on all dead balls. All right, so 15 minutes running clock, first half, 15 minutes running clock, second half. Clock will stop in the last minute of each half. All right? I'm not sure it says this exactly in the rules, but I'm going to clarify this. In that last minute of the second half, hear this is important. We'll blow whistle as close to 1 minute as we can, and you can put your 5 best players in. Okay? The rest of the game, it's straight by the book, alternating the players. Everybody plays an equal amount of time. All right? So we have a handout in there that you could use to do your substitution that I would encourage you to use because it makes sure that you maintain your integrity. Basically, how many players you have written down that amount of numbers. You start the first 5. All right? The next half, if you have 8, 6, 7, and 8, 1 and 2 are in the game. All right? And then the next half is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you just keep using that graph to show you what 5 would be in the game. There's no rhyme, you're not trying to manipulate it so that your best player ends up getting double time whenever you have that takes that out of the equation. Now, I can't control that, all right? I can't manipulate that for each one of you guys. If this is all about winning for you, then you're going to find a way to get your best player out there more than the others, and you'll probably win. And congratulations. All right? But I would much rather if we just let everybody play equal time, and then I at least give you that last minute where if you want to put your 5 best in there, you can. All right? If you get fouled in the act of shooting, you get a point and you shoot 1 free throw. All right? Now, the reason you do that is I want kids to learn to shoot free throws, but I also don't want to spend all that time with a running clock standing on the foul line. So if you get fouled shooting, you're going to get 1 point automatically. We're going to line them up quickly, and you're going to shoot 1 more. If you get fouled on a 3, you'll get 2 points automatically, and we'll line up and shoot 1. Okay? Everybody got that? All right. Any common foul in the first 15 minutes of each half is a point, and they keep the ball. Okay? The reason for that is I have enough trouble paying the officials. I can't pay somebody to keep track of fouls so we know when to go in 1-on-1. All right? There's been enough studies done on this to show that it's almost a wash. The points that you award end up being about equal to what they'd shoot in a 1-on-1 situation if you kept track of the fouls. So basically, it's the same thing, but it eliminates the need to have somebody track the fouls. Okay? In case of overtime, the first overtime will be 1 minute. The second would be sudden death. The 1 minute would be played just like the last minute of the game. So you can play your best players. All overtime periods will begin with a jump ball. If we get to a second overtime, it's the first team to score 2 points. So if you get fouled and you make a free throw, and you miss a second, game's still on until you get to 2 points. Okay? Coaches stay between half court and the baseline, dress reasonably. 2 technical fouls, you're required to leave. Really shouldn't get any. Although I got 1 AU tournament this past weekend, that's a whole other story. I didn't deserve it. Have you been to the new facility down there on 11? Yeah. Well, anyway, if you're coaching the game, if you stand up, you're on the floor. You gave me a T for being on the floor. What am I supposed to do? Stand on the chair? You didn't like it when I said that, but. Injured players must exit the game until the next dead ball. Each team gets 2 1-minute timeouts, which can be taken anytime. An extra timeout is awarded for overtime. All right. There are no foul outs because we don't have the ability to track all the fouls, but hopefully the 1 point penalty will be enough motivation to not just free-for-all foul. Because every time you foul, it costs your team points. All right. The substitutions will happen every 4 minutes. The game will start at 16. We'll get a sub at 12, 8, and 4. Okay? I tell my officials this, if this game started at 16 minutes and we're at 12:05, the clock's running, and somebody makes a steal, and they're going in for a layup, and they're just elevating like this, and the clock hits 12, they're not going to blow the whistle and call for subs, okay? They're going to try to get a lull in the action. Maybe the ball's come back out top, somebody's resetting the offense, maybe a bucket was scored, a ball went out of bounds. As close as we can to 12, 8, and 4 is what we're going to do as far as when we blow the whistle to sub. All right, everyone must play equal time. I've talked about that, except the final minute. Now this says the final minute of the game. I think I want to do that. Okay, I think I want to go final minute of the game. You can sub wherever you want. I think in that first half, I just want to play that through. I want to go 16, 12, 8, and 4 all the way to the buzzer. Okay, does that confuse anybody?
Mine says last 2 minutes.
Huh? Yeah.
You're changing it to 1.
I'm changing it to 1. Yes. Yes.
1 minute, second half into the game.
Yes. Yes.
First half as is.
Yes. 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 Unsportsmanlike conduct, technical foul is expulsion from the game. In my mind, an unsportsmanlike conduct is an action that is perceived as aggressively inciting a physical altercation. Somebody pops somebody is what I'm talking about. All right. If you do something like that, the child's gonna have to chill out for a while. Okay. Player control fouls result in a change of possession, but will not receive the automatic point because you don't shoot 1-on-1 on a player control foul. Fair enough. All right. Straight half court man, even in that final minute, any variation. Okay. Gotta talk about this. All right. You're a straight man. All right. I'm playing defense right here. I'm playing defense on him, okay? Rick, come out here. You can't play like a defense, but pretend. All right. Rick's guarding right here. Okay, this guy has the ball. Okay? I'm guarding my man right here. He's the best player on the team. He's got the ball in his hands. That paper's his ball. I can't come over here and double team. You gotta stay with your man. Now, in all likelihood, if Rick's guarding the best player, or even if he's guarding the worst player, he's gonna get blown by. Okay? So I know this because I know Rick's deficiency is on defense. So I'm going to be ready to help. Okay? So when he puts it on the floor and blows by Rick, I can come over and stop the ball. That's not double teaming. But once I stop the ball and you pick it up, either you have to switch or I have to get back to my man. Those are the two options. Okay? We're not going to stay with this guy because he's the best player in double teaming. Okay? Is that fair enough? You're a good sport.
I'm really good at defense.
Yeah. That means you can't shoot. That's all that means.
Kirby,
Yeah.
last year, the officials a few times called double teaming when the kids were like, "Oh, it's double teaming," because it was situations like that.
Right.
Is it a proximity issue, or did they just switch immediately, or just each other?
It's a gray area, and I don't know. I mean, I'm going to talk to my officials and try to define it as best that I can. Yeah.
So we just teach them to switch?
Yeah, well, you either teach them to switch or help and recover.
Okay.
All right, either one of those. Now, if somebody's guarding their man and somebody dribbles right by them and they can reach and smack the ball away, they can do that. Okay. I'm not saying you can't play the game, but what I don't want is the best player on the other team is bringing it across half court and we're running a double team out to make them give the ball up. Okay, that's AAU.
Hey, Kirby, one of the things too we had in girls, when we had a girl steal the ball and start running like a fast break, and then 2 or 3 girls chasing, and the one coach was, "That's a triple team." Well, of course everybody's going to chase the ball.
Right.
So
Right.
Be within reason a little bit.
Right. Well, the other thing you have to remind your kids of is in the 7 and 8 year olds, you can't defend outside the 3-point line. Okay? And in the 9 and 10 year olds, you can't go beyond the volleyball line. Okay? 11 and 13, you can't go beyond half court. All right? So that really helps create a little bit of flow on offense. But what that does is if somebody gets a steal, I know this is tough, but if you don't enforce the rule all the time, you might as well not have it at all. If somebody makes a steal and they're dribbling down, if you're in the 7 to 8 year old, technically you cannot steal that ball until they get inside the 3-point line. All right? Or if it's a 9 and 10, you can't steal the ball until they come across the volleyball line. If it's 11 to 13, you can't steal it until they cross half court. All right? I know that's a tough one. I get it.
Even on like a breakaway.
Yes, even on a breakaway. Because I think if you don't call it all the time, you might as well not call it. And really what I'm trying to create is, if you've ever watched a football game where both teams, you look at the football field and between the 20s, the grass is all torn up, and in the end zones and inside the 10, it looks like a golf course. That's what I want to stay away from in basketball. I don't want the game taking place between the 20s. I want to get that ball down there, and I want people to pass and cut, and I want people to defend, and I want them to share the ball, and I want us to get attempts at the basket, because that's where they begin to develop their skills. All right. There's other things they can work on later. Okay. Talked about the straight man. Okay. Another important point. If there's 2 minutes to go in the game, one team's up by 4. All right. They can technically dribble outside their unguarded area and just run the clock out. All right. What I'll tell my officials is if they're not aggressively pursuing a shot, blow the whistle when it's a turnover. Okay. Does that make sense? So if you're in the 7 and 8 and you're up 4 and you have the ball, you could dribble the ball outside the 3-point line and just let the clock run for 2 minutes to 0, technically within the rules. But I talked to the officials about that, and that will not be allowed. You have to just, if you don't tell the kids to do that, you're probably not going to have anybody. If you do, that's a good sign for that kid, okay? But you're probably not going to have anybody that's going to be smart enough to figure out just stand out there and dribble. But if you do, you got to tell them, hey, we're in attack mode, okay? All right.
Can we get the kid that can dribble like 7 and 8 for 2 minutes?
Probably not. No pressing unless one team is down 10 points or more. If they get down 10 points, they can press. Only full court man. Trust me, that's all it takes to create turnovers at this level is full court man. They still can't run and double. They still can't trap. It's straight full court man. They can deny the inbounds pass if they want. All right? And you can press once you're down 10 until you come back and you can tie the score or take the lead if it's on an odd number. Okay? No out of bounds under the basket. Okay? The last thing I want is for you guys to spend time in practice working on out of bounds plays. All right? Chad Edwards can teach them that someday. All right? Dwight can teach them that someday. Kerry can teach them that someday. Who am I leaving out? TA. I don't know that guy. All right, he can teach them someday out of bounds plays. In practice, I want them working on dribbling, shooting, passing, defense. And then after you work on that, I want you to dribble, shoot, pass, and defend. And then as soon as you're done with that, work on dribble, pass, shoot, and defend. All right? They don't need to work on plays. They don't need to work on sets. They don't need to work on out-of-bounds plays. They need to learn to play. They don't need to learn plays. They need to learn how to play. Triple threat position. 4-step pivot, to alleviate pressure. Just basic fundamental dribbling and passing principles is really what I'm looking for. Okay? All inbounds will take place on the side. And if you go back into your unguarded area, you have a free entry anytime you want it. All right? 17 is a new one. The 2 screens that are not allowed are the ball screen and the back screen. No back screens. I just don't like line screens at this age because somebody gets their head knocked off. Okay? You can still set a down screen if you want. You can still set a cross screen. You can still set a diagonal screen. But again, I would encourage you. I know, man, there's nothing prettier than, and I've been there and done that. You put in this beautiful play, and your team executes it and gets a wide open shot and makes it, and you just want to look at the crowd and say, see what I've done. That's really not making them better. All right? What would really make them better is if they learn to play a little motion offense, a little pass and cut, a little dribble, penetrate, and share the ball with an open teammate when you draw help. Those are the things that'll make them better. Not running the flex or the wheel or whatever else, the triangle, what else we come up with. All right. 18. This is a no-brainer, I think, but I added it just because I wanted to make sure we avoided no punitive running or physical penalties if a player messes up practice. All right. The last thing we need is a kid falling out because you ran and made him run 40 suicides because he got beat off the penalty. Okay. I know that seems like common sense, but you'd be shocked. Okay. If somebody's habitually missing practice and then just showing up for the games, call me and we'll talk about it. All right, I had that situation last year, and I just called the mom and I said, listen, I don't want to penalize your son, but if you're on board, you're on board. You've got to make an effort to be at practice. I said, if he's at practice, we want to let him play. If he's not, we still let him play, but we can't let him play as much. And she got into practice the rest of the year. So I'd rather try to communicate with people, and try to relate to them rather than just suddenly their son doesn't play at all because he missed 2 practices of rec basketball. Okay. What have I not covered? If you have questions, you can email me anytime. All right. I want to see how this goes. I have considered after girls revamping the entire process of how I do this, and I'm flirting with some different ideas, just to be totally transparent with you guys. That could really change the way we do it next year, but I want to see how this goes. All right, you guys need to restore my faith in our ability to do this without so much people being upset about things that are out of our control. Okay, if things that we can't control, then you should be upset. But if it's things we can't control, then you shouldn't be. All right. What other questions do we have? Any questions? Yes, sir.
We see that we have like an obvious mismatch, like you gave an example earlier. Can we switch who's covering who during?
I would say I would not switch it during, but you could change it for the rest of the game. So the most you'd have to deal with it would be that 1 4-minute segment. All right, I don't want to blow another, like the other kid that's guarding him, I don't want to blow his mind. And let's try to, I mean, we'll have a pretty good idea who the best players are. What I've said is, and I'll say this to you guys, and I'll say it to the officials, I want coaches to match them up. I want you guys to go out there at the beginning and line them up across from each other, okay? Now, if the coaches can't agree, then the officials will step in and do it, and whatever the officials say is what it will be, okay? But hopefully you guys can make, I think you guys should be able to make that work, all right? Everybody in here is doing it for the right reason, so I don't think that'll be a problem, all right?
Unless, like, if there's a kid that doesn't wanna play when it's his turn because they're tired, is it okay to, or should we make him play?
I don't think you make them play. I don't think you make them play. Hopefully it's not your worst player that never wants to play. You're like, you look really tired. You might need to take a break. Suddenly Jimmy, who just got 25 in the last quarter, doubling up on play. I'm just kidding. Okay. Anything else? All right. I appreciate you guys. This is a challenging deal because there's so much emotion in basketball. I'm just going to warn you. I mean, these games are, the parents are emotional, the kids are emotional, the officials get emotional. The cooler you are, the better we'll all be. If you guys are riding the official, lighting them up, that's going to incite the parents. All right? That they're going to follow your lead to a certain extent. Which would be ideal is if you're totally calm and then you do have a parent that's out of line, you kind of saw over and say, hey, let's chill out a little bit. All right? Let's try to make sure this is fun. All right? I think there's a place for competitiveness, don't get me wrong, but let's try to make sure we're having fun first. Is that everything?
Is picture day announced yet?
Oh, what's up with pictures?
Krista Gitchell will reach out to everybody. She'll do it at her practice.
All hearts are free?